Understood. Well, how has your experience on the other side of the CMBS market helped you? I mean, obviously for many years you were originating CMBS debt and out in the market and talking with lots of borrowers. How has that helped you in sort of creating your business strategy and dealing with the situations you find every day in the market?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. One of the similarities, one of the places where it's added the most value is the groups that we deal with on the special servicing side. There are 3 or 4 major groups these days: Llenrock, CW Capital, and C3 Asset Management. A lot of those groups and the predecessor groups of those companies were, back in the early CMBS days, and some of them still are today, B-piece buyers. So they're the ones you have to negotiate with. If it's not the same principles, it's the same philosophy, at that firm. And those were the groups that we had to deal with on the underwriting side when we would originate loans and attempt to sell them in securitization. If there were questions and challenges about the loans, we had to negotiate with them to keep those loans in the pool.
Okay.
So developing a practice for being able to communicate with those groups and give them the concise information they need has been very helpful on this side.
I guess in follow-up to that, everybody about CMBS loan workouts as a term, people consider sort of impossible. Everybody says that they never can get in touch with anybody or speak with anybody. How do you, obviously this is what you do, and you've facilitated a pretty good number of transactions, I believe. How are you able to communicate with these folks and get them to answer your phone call and actually, above and beyond that, even negotiate with you?
Yeah, I think the first thing is most of the asset managers that I've dealt with understand when they look at and they understand the Henley Group that we're a professional organization that does this for a living and has CMBS background. Everybody in our firm has CMBS background, and we know how to underwrite these transactions so there's not a feeling that the servicer is dealing with a small mom and pop borrower that maybe doesn't know the first thing about their loan documents. So that helps out a lot. And the second and almost more important thing is the communication and the transparency. We create a lot of transparency for the special servicer so they could understand what's going on with the property, what's going on with the tenancy, what's happening with cash flow if there's a default situation. And providing them that information helps them out tremendously in trusting the borrower. And that trust is, in my experience, the biggest thing to getting to the finish line with a restructure.
Got it. That's great. So obviously very useful for folks who have issues in communicating with their servicer, with their originating company. Really ought to call you guys to help communication.
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of borrowers, if they're directly or they're attorneys, and we work a lot with attorneys together on assignments, and they have their areas of expertise. But we found that a lot of owners simply get very frustrated at what are really more routine roadblocks that a special servicer may have that are in the pooling and servicing agreement. Special servicer has to go through a workout and go through a negotiation according to a long document called the pooling and servicing agreement. And a borrower may not understand why certain steps are taken and why they can't do this or they can't do that, or they can't just fund some TIs where it seems simple to them. They're not dealing with a bank. They're not dealing with a portfolio lender that could look at something and make a decision. They're dealing with somebody that is representing a fiduciary and is representing a whole different stack of bondholders.
Makes sense. Okay, good. I guess